Sure. So I guess there's two, or I guess three projects that I'm working on right now. They all sort of coincide, and all of them have to do with rehabilitation and mental well-being. So last year, I was doing a trial bringing virtual reality into prisons. There was a focus on rehabilitation, however, due to, I guess, the ethics and the people are scared of virtual reality headsets and using them for training. They were like, let's just focus on well-being. Let's not bring any neuroscience in right now because we would have to go through a very long ethics committee. And what we did as a trial is we used virtual reality headsets as a form of incentivization to bring prisoners to their educational workshops. And we focused on waste management workshops, bike repairs, textiles, and food packaging, which were the workshops where I guess people would either require a little bit more support. So say, for example, if you have a group of 30 prisoners and you only have one lecturer who's able to help you out, you could maybe pop on a VR headset, just click, bike repair video, just like you would with YouTube. They don't have access to things like that there. You can just put on the headset and then you can just have a guided experience on how to do that. But we definitely focused on the idea of distraction, incentivization. And so if you showed up to your educational workshop, you would have the chance to try a VR experience for about 10 minutes. So basically, if you are what they call an enhanced prisoner, someone who follows the rules, goes to the educational workshops, does their time, then you have an opportunity to try a VR headset. And that's kind of what we worked together with the prison staff. There was a conversation about using it with prisoners who were, I suppose, a little bit more violent. And in that case, we actually saw the headsets were able to calm down a prisoner immediately. So, for example, usually if you are on a wing and a prisoner is acting out, they're going to destroy equipment. They're going to, start fights with people, and it's going to take a really long time for them to just calm down and for the whole wing to relax again. But they tried it out with one prisoner, and within, I would say, 5 minutes, he was sitting down, calm and relaxed, and the staff were able to take back sort of control of the wing and make sure that everything was okay and things weren't being destroyed. But what was really interesting with the incentivization is we actually asked for feedback. I want to do a special shout out to Carisha over there. She's in the crowd. She's helping me out. And we've been going into the prisons and making sure that all of the headsets are updated and we're putting in the right content in. And what we've seen, as I'm trying to read this from my screen, is we've seen a 14.62 increase of attendance in educational workshops since the VR headsets were introduced. So yes, VR is having a really good impact on attendance. You can't say that VR is the only reason why more people are attending. 28% of prisoners wanted to see the impact of their actions on their victims. And having spoken actually with Sylvia at Goldsmith University, one of the things why we can't do that is because none of the prisoners are screened for any mental health problems that might exist. So for example, if there are certain tendencies or things might be triggering, that would be the wrong experience to give them. And actually, it would empower them if they enjoy violence. And that's not something that we would want to do with virtual reality. 89% of prisoners believe that virtual reality use reduced violence inside the prison, which I kind of had to do a double take when I saw those figures. I was a little bit shocked because they were so high. But definitely what we see with the younger generation of prisoners, and we see a lot of younger prisoners coming in, is this is a great way to get them distracted. And then finally, and this was the bit that really, I think, touched me, was that virtual reality has decreased thoughts of self-harm and suicide. And that really, really hit me, because when we actually meet these prisoners face to face, we hear such beautiful stories. And one of my favorite stories is a prisoner who was in prison for 12 years. And he said, "Miss, I had been in jail for 12 years. And today I got to go. It was one of my best days. And I've experienced something different, which makes me realize that we're all human. I haven't felt like a prisoner today. Thank you." And the staff actually, they kind of ran up to us with excitement, saying, like, "We have never seen this prisoner smile before. In the 12 years that he's been inside prison, He's never showed any emotion. He's kind of just been, there's like a shield, there's a blockade. And we put on a VR headset and he was just rolling over on his chair, laughing, smiling. And the staff were kind of enjoying this with him. And so it was a really beautiful experience where, we can take prisoners. One, we can educate them, give them the right videos to show them, for example, how to fix bicycles. Two, we're giving them a form of escapism. So actually, their favorite VR experience is called VR Real Fishing by ImageSoft or MirageSoft. And that's a virtual reality game created by a Korean company where the environment is just, it's relaxing. You're out by a bridge, you've got a fishing line, the water looks real, the sun is setting, you hear the birds in the sky. And actually, I use it a lot myself as well when I'm feeling really anxious and really depressed. I kind of just put the headset on and that immediately takes me someplace more relaxed, more warm. I'm physically somewhere else. I highly recommend that for anybody who wants to try it out. And then finally, I think one of the biggest problems that we've had actually with the prison is we have a lot of people who are saying, like, is this the right thing to do if they're not in prison? Like, they committed a crime, they need to serve their time. And we're kind of using this as a way to help the staff deal with the large amount of prisoners, because there's not actually enough prison staff to deal with the amount of prisoners that are inside. So really, it's helping enhance prisoners right now. And one of the other projects that I'm working on is actually a virtual reality film that uses integrated eye tracking technology. So we're looking at the biometrics of your eye. So your pupil dilation, how fast your pupils are becoming big or small, and based on how you respond with your eyes, which is also conscious, we will change the environment, we will change the way characters respond to you. And a lot of what we're doing there for research can actually potentially be implemented in the prison later on as well, if we're allowed to, considering GDPR rules where there's ethic rules about data that we're getting from prisoners. And then finally, actually, with Sarah, one of the things I was looking at for the prisoners was I wanted to give them the opportunity to create art and express how they felt in isolation and being trapped. And so one of the things I wanted to do before the pandemic was give them headsets where they can create art in tilt brush, and then we can create a beautiful art exhibition where people could actually experience and see how they felt. Ironically, because of the pandemic, we're all living in a prison, except we have the ability to connect with people, and we have Wi-Fi, we have servers, and we can spatially be in the same environment. So one of the things I'm actually looking to do, you guys, if you guys all have headsets, I would love to collaborate with you, is create a virtual reality experience where we're looking at how you feel during the lockdown with the help of sort of doctors and psychologists guiding you to correctly deal with anxiety and depression, and then progressively go to how do you feel after the lockdown, and a call to action where we can looking to support the mental health required for key workers and nurses and doctors, and give them the support, because there's definitely not the right infrastructure for that right now. So yeah, definitely mental health and well-being is a huge part of both the prison project and storytelling as a whole. And I'll also say that my work has definitely moved to more, I guess, meeting people in social VR. And actually, I'm also quite tired of all of these Zoom calls and these Google Hangouts. And I can see there's like a huge difficulty when, for example, you've got like a party of people and they're all on the same screen, and like who decides to talk or whatever. But here I can, I can like physically walk up the skip and have a private conversation, which is something I don't feel really works in the 2D space so much. And I have to say, for I think it was last Saturday, we were talking. I was invited to this tea party in reality on Twitter, and I was expecting it to be a room full of avatars. We were all just sitting talking to each other, and it's kind of awkward because I can't see their face, I can't read their body language. But it ended up kind of being like an immersive experience game, and I met these people, and we knew each other virtually in the Twitter world, but we had never met in person before. And suddenly we were like, looking for candy in a room and it'd be like, oh, hey, where are you based? And you'd be like, oh, I'm in Turkey. And so I feel definitely in virtual reality, there's these things like shaking someone's hand, high-fiving, giving you a hug, like these things that like humans really, really need. Like I really miss hugging people and like giving people handshakes and stuff, and you can't do that anymore. But I think VR kind of, even if it's like not a real thing, that acceptance, that acknowledgement that we both have like given each other a handshake or like hugged each other, I think is like very human. And I think the physical touch should be something that VR kind of like almost enhances in a way that Zoom or Google or Skype call just really doesn't.